Hi, my name is Heather Kojan, and we're at the original Sewing Quilt Expo in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's July 22nd, 2017. I have the distinct pleasure of being a quilt teacher, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Certainly when we're in class, the goal is to make quilts or make blocks or learn a technique, but I find sometimes it's a lot more than that. I was teaching last weekend and we had kind of smallish classes, and it made for a really intimate setting, and sometimes when you're in an intimate setting with complete strangers it can be a little bit awkward. What happened was kind of magical last weekend because we were in such a small enclosed area for a long time, about 6 hours, people started to share things. We talked about things that I know these ladies probably weren't talking about with their best friends. We talked about breast cancer. We talked about reconstructive surgery. I had one woman share about her son, who has been in and out of rehab and the struggles he's had. And it was a safe, close environment. There was one lady there. I had met her a few months prior at a guild lecture, and it was in my hometown, or not my hometown, a town that I had lived in before. And so it's likely that we knew each other from other areas, but we couldn't quite put together where we knew each other from. So we tried and tried. She ended up in one of my classes. We're talking throughout the day just about this and that, and I said one thing that triggered a memory for her, and she said, "Do you know Michelle?" And when I say it now, I still get chills over my body. I said, "Yes, that's it. That's how we know each other." And she said, "Michelle was my best friend." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I said, "How is she?" She said, "She's passed 2 years ago." And I knew she had breast cancer at the time. She had survived it for 10 years. But I mean, that connection, that brought us together. Yesterday in my class, I had mother-daughter teams sewing together. I had people who were best friends sewing together, but I had these two ladies, front row of my class. They had never met each other before, and they got together and they became, in the 3-hour span, best friends. At the end of the experience, they were hugging each other and exchanging numbers, and it was just a beautiful thing. So quilting happens at quilt classes, but other things happen as well. A little bit about this quilt. I made this quilt. I name it Roy. I'm terrible at naming quilts. I don't like naming quilts necessarily. I'd be just as happy to name quilts number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That'd be fine for me. But because this is a rainbow-inspired quilt, it's a little nod to Roy G. Biv. I call the quilt Roy, who is also my dad. And so I think from now on, I'm just going to name quilts after people I love.